Hey guys, it's Narissa. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another weekend meal prep video. This one's going to be a little bit different because I am making less meals and preserving more food. But if you are new to my channel, welcome. My name's Narissa. I am a full-time working, almost mom-to-be, expecting my first child here in a couple months. I like to post videos that I like to watch that give me inspiration to get things done and be productive and make my work week easier, and I hope to do the same with my channel. So this weekend I am going to be preserving some pickles as well as salsa from the garden. So you can see I actually have my pressure canner out that I'm going to use as a water bath canner. I also have a small pot that I am going to use to mix up the pickling brine for my spicy pickles. Now I showed you I'm using a Mrs. Wages spicy pickles mix. It's a quick process mix. It is pressing the easy button. So I had some of these left over from last year and I wanted to go ahead and use them up. So my garden was also very productive with cucumbers this year, so it was perfect timing. So Mrs. Wages has a ton of different mixes. This one in particular is the Spicy Pickles Medium Mix. And she also has a lot of different pickling mixes for other vegetables, beets, things like that, as well as different types of salsas. So I really like these mixes. They're really affordable, and also they take all the guesswork out. And it's not necessarily for canning. You can also use them for example for refrigerator pickles. So I have my little workstation out here. I have a bowl that I am putting the chunks of pickles that I will be putting into the brine. And then I also have a bag that is for my scraps. I do have a small flock of backyard chickens, so any scraps go to them. So my water is boiling. 7 1/3 cups of water was what was needed for this particular mix. I brought the water up to a boil, and then I'm mixing in the seasoning packet, which includes different things like jalapeno peppers, red peppers, other vegetables that are dehydrated that will reconstitute once in the boiling water. So I had filled up the pressure canner, which is my large pressure canner to use as a water bath canner. I am actually canning these pickles so that I can put them on the shelf and they'll last for over a year. But I filled my stock pot up, or I'm sorry, my pressure canner up that I'm going to use as a water bath canner with water and got it boiling, and then went ahead and put 7-quart jars into the stock pot to sterilize them. So I was just dumping the water out and getting them out onto a towel, and now I'm going to fill my jars with the cucumbers that I just cut up. Now my husband requested this particular shape, basically like quarter spears. So small little spear chunks rather than longer spears or pickle chips. This is what he had wanted, and this is really for him because I'm not a huge fan of the level of heat that these spicy pickles have. So these 7 quarts are for him. So I'm just going to fill up each quart jar with as many cucumbers as I can get into them, and then I will top it off with the brine mixture that I have simmering on the stove there. So once I get all of the pickles or cucumbers into the jars and put the brine over them, then I'm going to use a tool that will allow me to get the air bubbles out of the jars. And you always want to do this because inevitably you will have air bubbles, and it will change the amount of headspace if you are actually canning the jars, and you want the appropriate headspace if that is what you're doing. If you're just making refrigerator pickles, then it's not as big of a deal. So I'm going to use my funnel and a ladle to ladle the brine over my cucumbers, And then again, I will use the tool. You can use anything. The green funnel and the other green utensil you see in the background, as well as the tool I'm going to use to debubble the vegetables, all came in a little kit that I got from Walmart several years ago, I believe. It all came together in one package, but you can use the handle of a wooden spoon or anything that won't nick your jars, that is, not metal, that you can fit down in between your vegetables to move them around to get the air bubbles out, will work. I've used a wooden spoon before too. So now I am finding that I'm running out of brine, so I'm just making sure that the seasoning is evenly distributed throughout the jars, and then this oftentimes happens. So on the back of your packet, it tells you what you can do if you run out of brine. So you just make a mixture of vinegar and water to top off your jars. So I'm going to run my debubbling tool around the edges and in the center to get the air bubbles out and see if I need to add more brine, which I do. So this will allow me to get the proper headspace. So I'll have to fill a couple of the jars back up to the 1-inch headspace mark so that they can properly. So now I'm just taking my lids and my rings out of my Pyrex measuring cup that I had put some of the boiling water from my canner into in order to sterilize and soften the lids that I'm placing on top of my quart jars here. So I'm just tightening the rings to fingertip tight, and now they are ready to go in the water bath canner. Look how good they look. They look really fresh, and they're going to be great. I hope. My husband thinks they're great. I don't enjoy that level of spiciness, but so this is the other tool that I was telling you about that comes with the kit. I'll see if I can find one on Amazon and link it below so you know what I'm talking about. But 7-quart jars is what you can get into a water bath canner. And now with all of the extra volume, it displaced my water, so I'm taking some of the water out. Now this is something new from Mrs. Wages that I found at Walmart too, I believe. It's a 1-step pickling brine in a bag, and they have a bunch of different flavors, and this one is cherry habanero. So I'm using this and some of the extra cucumbers that I had to fill up a 1.5-quart jar. And then again, I need to mix a little vinegar and water because I didn't have enough to cover all of the cucumbers. But this again is for my husband. I will not be eating this. But again, it's a cherry habanero, I believe, brine. 1 step. You don't have to mix anything. You just pour it over your vegetables and put it in the refrigerator. All right, so my water bath canner is done. You basically let it come up to a rolling boil before you start your timer, and then once your timer goes off, you want to let it sit for a good 5 minutes and then pull your jars out and leave them alone until they're completely cool. So now I'm going to get some eggs boiled up. I want to use them for a couple different recipes, and this is how I like to boil my eggs. I just bring some water to a boil. Once it's boiling, I put my eggs in and start the timer for 14 minutes. As soon as the timer goes off, I take them out and put them directly into an ice bath. And this usually works out really well for me. One of these days I will try the Instant Pot 555 boiled egg method. I just have not done that yet because I usually have success with the 14-minute method, I suppose. But now I'm going to move on to canning some salsa. And I'm not going to actually be canning and preserving the salsa. I'm just going to be making enough to put in the refrigerator. So I'm not going to be making a huge batch. It's going to be a small batch that my husband and I and my family can eat up in a week or two. Now, if you are going to can or preserve anything, it's really important for you to do your own research and interpret the rules, in your own way. I'm just showing you what I do. There is a lot of science behind it, so you want to be pretty specific when following recipes and following the rules. So one website that I use a lot is the National Center for Home Food Preservation. It is developed by the USDA, and it has a lot of great information on there. So I would suggest visiting that website and getting a couple of maybe canning books from the library or whatnot before you get started, and make sure you understand the whole process. But it really is easy. If I can do it, anyone can do it. And it's a great way to preserve your hard work that you put into your garden in the summer months and fall months, so that you can enjoy it throughout the rest of the year. So the tomato plants in my garden just did not do great. These tomatoes are actually from my grandpa's garden, and his didn't do that well either. A lot better than mine though. So there will be no salsa canning this year from the garden, only this refrigerator salsa. So I am getting the tomatoes chopped up, and again I am using Mrs. Wage's salsa mix, and I'm going to use the mild version here. This particular recipe or pack makes 5 pints, and you can freeze it, or you can can it, or you can just serve it up immediately. So essentially you can use this seasoning packet for anything. So this packet contains different dehydrated vegetables like onions and peppers, different types of peppers, garlic, and other types of spices, all included in one. So all you need is the seasoning packet, about 6 pounds of tomatoes. If you don't have fresh tomatoes, you can also use canned tomatoes. And then some 5% acidity vinegar, as well as just the seasoning packet. So this again is the easy button. It works really, really well. We really enjoy it. We think it tastes great. I also have other canning recipes that I make from scratch that I really enjoy as well. But see, I'm showing you here the mild salsa mix. So I just added my half a cup of vinegar, and then I'm trying to decide, I feel like I didn't have the exact right amount of tomatoes, that I was a little shy, and so I was going to not add the entire packet of seasoning, but then I decided, go ahead, just add the rest of it. It might be a little spicy, but it'll be okay. So I'm getting this all mixed up, and then you just let it simmer and break down on the stove top until it is ready. So you can see how much it broke down there. And now I'm going to fill up this 1.5 pint jar, and also another couple pints of fresh tomato salsa. So I will share some of this with my grandparents, and then my husband Mike will eat the rest. He loves salsa. He's the type of guy that puts salsa on everything. I really love these lids that I got on Amazon. They are perfect. They come in wide mouth and regular mouth size. They are perfect for when you open one of your canning jars and you put it in the refrigerator. It's an easy screw top lid, and I will link those below too. You can also find them at Walmart. So just look in the canning section at Walmart, and I'm sure you'll be able to find them. They're usually white or green. So next up on my weekend meal prep or weekend prep list is to make some ham salad. Now I am trying to reduce my sugar intake and my carbohydrate intake, so I'm eating a high protein, low carb diet currently. So I had been thinking about ham salad for a while. Ham salad is one of those foods that I grew up eating. There was a local grocery store that had the best ham salad, and we just loved it. So I am going to peel up about 3 hard-boiled eggs, and of course save my egg shells into my scrap sack for the chickens, and get those 3 eggs chopped up. And then I have a jar of ham that I canned last year, actually after Easter, because ham is so affordable around that holiday that I took advantage of those extremely low prices and went ahead and canned some up to put them on the shelf specifically for ham salad like this, as well as I actually gave some to my grandparents and they used it for ham and beans and potatoes, which is another local favorite around this time of year when the green beans are being harvested. So that's a meal idea that I might have to make here in the next couple weeks. But so I just drained off the ham stock and the little bit of fat that was in the jar. That is excellent stock that you can save and use for another purpose. And I'm just going to chop up my ham here. It was really tender, and I probably should have went ahead and ran it through the food processor, because that is the classic ham salad where it's very finely minced. But I didn't want to pull it out for just one small batch of ham salad. So again, I am trying to reduce my sugar intake, and Miracle Whip, which is generally the type of mayonnaise that I would use to make ham salad or chicken salad or deviled eggs, has a lot more sugar in it than just regular mayonnaise does. So I'm using real mayonnaise, and then I'm going to chop up a few pickle spears here. These are also home canned pickles. Chop up a few of these pickle spears. And then if you want to make your real mayonnaise taste a little bit more like Miracle Whip, you can add some vinegar and also a little bit of sweetener. So that's what I'm doing here. Just a quick shot of vinegar and then my stevia sweetener, and go ahead and mix it up. And you definitely want to give it a taste. That's how you're going to know if you need to add a little bit more vinegar or a little bit more sweetener, or even some more salt. So I gave it a taste here, and now I'm the only one that's going to be eating this, so I did double dip with my fork. This is just for me and my lunches this week. But it did need a little bit more sugar to get that Miracle Whip flavor that I was looking for, or sweetener, not sugar. So I am satisfied with it. I'm going to get this lid on. I have struggled with this lid a little bit. And then move on to deviled eggs. Now, deviled eggs are, again, another great low-carb, high-protein snack, and I love them, so that's perfect. So I'm just going to make a small batch here for snacks for me throughout the week. And again, I'm going to use the real mayo and try and make it taste like Miracle Whip by adding a little bit of vinegar as well as some stevia sweetener to the egg yolk mixture. So essentially, I'm just trying to make it taste similar to what I am used to, but reducing the amount of sugar intake for sure. Now that I have it the way I want it, I am just going to put them into this flat Pyrex dish and just use a spoon to fill up the center of the egg. A lot of times I will go ahead and just take the extra step and put it into a plastic bag, cut the tip off, and pipe it into the eggs. But these are just for me. They don't have to be pretty. So this is the end of my weekend meal prep here. You can see I didn't do a lot of food meal prepping, but I did get 7 quarts of spicy pickles canned and on the shelf, 3.5 pints of salsa to put in the refrigerator. as well as 1.5 pints of the habanero cherry pickles to put in the refrigerator for my husband. I got 1 small batch of ham salad made, as well as a few deviled eggs to snack on throughout the week. I hope you enjoyed this meal prep video or weekend prep video. I hope it inspires you to get some things done in the kitchen to help make the work week a lot easier for you. I know for me, every little bit helps. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!